the hidden code within. There is a secret written in the fabric of your being, a code buried so deep within you that it has been whispered about in the halls of ancient temples, encoded in sacred texts, and fiercely guarded by those who understood its power. This is not merely a metaphor, it is the forgotten truth of what you are. You are not just flesh and bone, not just a fleeting consciousness trapped in time. You are a vessel of something far older, far wiser, and far more divine than you have been led to believe. For centuries, this knowledge has been veiled, obscured by the hands of those who feared what would happen if humanity remembered its own potential. They buried it beneath layers of dogma, distorted it through half-truths, and locked it away in the vaults of secret societies. But the truth cannot stay hidden forever. Like a seed breaking through concrete, the memory of who you truly are is pushing its way back into the light. Imagine for a moment that your DNA is not just a biological blueprint, but a living library, an archive of cosmic intelligence. Every strand, every helix is a coiled serpent of wisdom waiting to be awakened. The ancients knew this. The Egyptians spoke of the Ankh, the key of life. The Hindu sages revered the Kundalini, the serpent power coiled at the base of the spine. The alchemists sought the philosopher's stone, not as a physical object, but as the transmutation of the self into gold, into pure, awakened consciousness. What if the stories of gods walking among men were not myths but memories? What if the biblical phrase, "Ye are gods," was not a poetic metaphor but a literal truth, deliberately obscured? The implications are staggering. It means that the limitations you perceive, the sickness, the aging, the suffering, are not inevitable. They are the result of a forgetting, a severing from the source code of your own divinity. But why has this knowledge been suppressed? Because to remember is to reclaim power. A sleeping giant is far easier to control than one who has awakened. The systems of this world, religious, political, economic, are built upon the assumption that you are small, that you need intermediaries to reach the divine, that your fate is written in stone. But what if the stone itself is an illusion? What if the script can be rewritten? This is not mere speculation. Modern science is beginning to catch up to what the mystics have always known. Epigenetics reveals that your environment, your thoughts, even your beliefs can alter the expression of your DNA. Quantum physics suggests that consciousness itself may be the fundamental fabric of reality. The line between matter and spirit is dissolving, and as it does, the ancient secrets are resurfacing not as relics of a dead past, but as living keys to your evolution. The journey we are about to undertake is not for the faint of heart. To unlock your divine DNA is to step into a reality where the impossible becomes possible, where miracles are not exceptions but expectations. It requires shedding the hypnosis of the ordinary, daring to question everything you've been told, and most crucially, remembering what has been deliberately erased from your memory. This is not just knowledge, it is an initiation. By the time you reach the end, you will see yourself and the world in a way you never have before. The question is, are you ready to remember? Core themes and concepts, the pillars of remembering. To grasp the magnitude of what it means to unlock your divine DNA, we must first dismantle the illusions that have kept humanity in a state of amnesia. This is not about adding new information to your mind, it is about peeling away the falsehoods that have obscured the truth for millennia. The core themes we explore here are not isolated ideas but interconnected strands of a grander design, each one a thread in the tapestry of your hidden inheritance. The illusion of separation. The first and perhaps most pervasive deception is the belief that you are separate from the divine, from each other, from the universe itself. This illusion is the foundation upon which all other limitations are built. If you believe you are merely a biological accident, a temporary assemblage of atoms, then your existence has no deeper meaning. But the ancient teachings from Hermeticism to Advaita Vedanta declare the opposite. You are not in the universe is in you. Your DNA is not just a molecule, it is a microcosm of the cosmos, a fractal reflection of the same intelligence that orchestrates galaxies. Modern science edges toward this truth with discoveries like quantum entanglement, where particles remain connected across vast distances, instantaneously influencing one another. If this is true at the subatomic level, why not at the human level? The mystics called this the web of life, the unseen threads that bind all existence. Your divine DNA is not just a personal code, it is a node in this vast, living network, the suppressed science of epigenetics. For decades, mainstream biology taught that DNA was destiny, a fixed, unchangeable program dictating your health, lifespan, and even consciousness. But epigenetics, the study of how genes are activated or silenced by environmental and psychological factors, shatters this dogma. Your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and even the energy of your surroundings can rewrite your genetic expression. This is not a metaphor. Studies have shown that trauma can leave molecular scars on DNA passed down through generations. Conversely, practices like meditation, breathwork, and intentional energy healing have been documented to activate junk DNA. The 97% of our genetic material once dismissed as useless but now suspected to hold the keys to higher states of being. The ancients knew this. The yogis spoke of prana, the life force that could rejuvenate the body. The alchemists sought the elixir of immortality not as a literal potion, but as the mastery of inner energy to transcend decay. The language of light and sound. Your DNA does not operate solely on a biochemical level, it is also a resonant structure responsive to frequency. Russian scientists Pyotr Garjajev and Vladimir Popinin discovered that DNA emits and absorbs photons, suggesting it functions as a biophotonic antenna. Even more startling, their experiments indicated that DNA can be reprogrammed by linguistic and electromagnetic frequencies, meaning words, sounds, and even intention can alter your genetic code. This is why sacred mantras, chants, and the lost language of the gods appear in every esoteric tradition. The Hindu Om, the Egyptian Ankh, the Hebrew YHWH, these were not mere words but vibrational keys designed to activate dormant aspects of human potential. When you speak or hear these sounds with reverence, you are not just reciting, you are retuning. The hidden history of genetic manipulation. If your DNA is the bridge between the physical and the divine, then who or what has been tampering with it? Ancient texts from the Sumerian tablets to the Book of Enoch speak of beings who interfered with humanity, altering our original blueprint. The Gnostic scriptures describe the archons, parasitic entities that feed on human ignorance and keep us trapped in a false reality. Even modern researchers like Dr. Fritz Albert Popp have suggested that human DNA may have been artificially limited, its full potential locked away behind a biological firewall. This is not conspiracy theory, it is the recurring motif of a species that once knew its own divinity but was systematically disconnected from it. The question is no longer if this manipulation occurred, but how do we reverse it? The awakening sequence. Unlocking your divine DNA is not a single event, but a sequence, an unraveling of layers, a remembering in stages. First comes the suspicion that there is more to reality, then the realization that you have been lied to. Then the reclamation of your own power. And finally, the activation, the moment when your cells begin to resonate with a frequency that can no longer be suppressed. This is why so many experience sudden shifts, mystical awakenings, spontaneous healings, inexplicable synchronicities when they touch this knowledge. It is not that the universe changes, it is that you do. Deeper symbolic narratives, the hidden stories in our bones. There are truths too vast to be conveyed through facts alone. They live in the spaces between words, in the silent language of symbols, in the stories that have been passed down through generations, not as mere folklore, but as encrypted knowledge. To truly grasp the mystery of divine DNA, we must step beyond the linear mind and into the realm of myth, where the deepest teachings are hidden in plain sight. The serpent in the garden. Consider the serpent in the biblical Eden, a creature vilified as the deceiver, the tempter, the one who led humanity astray. But in older traditions, the serpent was never evil. It was the symbol of wisdom, of Kundalini energy, of the coiled potential within every human being. The Egyptians worshipped the Uraeus, the serpent of divine authority resting on the brow of the pharaohs. The Aztecs revered Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, as the bringer of knowledge and civilization. What if the fall was not a punishment but an initiation? What if the serpent offered not damnation, but the remembrance of divine inheritance, the knowledge that ye are gods? The story takes on new meaning when we see it as an allegory for DNA itself, the serpentine double helix, the forbidden fruit as the awakening of higher consciousness, and the expulsion from Eden as humanity's descent into forgetfulness. The guardians of the old mysteries knew this. They encoded it in art, in architecture, in the very language of the sacred. The alchemical marriage. Alchemy was never truly about turning lead into gold. It was about the transmutation of the self, the merging of opposites, the sacred union that births the divine human. The Rosarium Philosophorum, an ancient alchemical text, depicts this as the marriage of the king and queen, the solar and lunar, the masculine and feminine principles within. But on a deeper level, it is the reunification of fragmented DNA, the strands of our earthly inheritance with the celestial code that was lost or suppressed. Modern science hints at this with the discovery of junk DNA segments that appear non-functional, yet may hold the keys to abilities we now consider supernatural. The alchemists called this the hidden gold, the dormant potential waiting to be activated. The process was never meant to be easy. It required the nigredo, the dark night of the soul, the dissolution of the old self before the new could emerge. The phoenix and the fire of rebirth. In every culture, there is a story of resurrection, of a being that dies only to rise again, renewed. The phoenix, the Bennu bird of Egypt, the Christ archetype all speak of a cycle of destruction and rebirth. But what if this is not just metaphor? What if it is a coded instruction for the awakening of divine DNA? The phoenix does not merely revive itself. It is consumed by fire, reduced to ashes, and from those ashes, it is reborn greater than before. This mirrors the process of genetic and spiritual activation. The old identity must be burned away, the limitations dissolved, before the higher blueprint can emerge. The fire is not destruction, but purification. The ashes are not the end, but the fertile ground for what comes next. The lost language of the gods. Legends speak of a time when humanity shared a single, sacred language, a tongue so potent that words could shape reality. The Tower of Babel myth tells of this language being fractured, leaving humanity divided and confused. But what if this language was not just speech, but the very encoding of light and sound within DNA? The work of linguists like Dr. Susumu Ono suggests that DNA has its own linguistic structure, that it operates not just chemically, but linguistically as if it were a text waiting to be read. The Hebrew Kabbalists knew this, which is why they believed the Torah was not just a holy book, but a living code. The Sanskrit mantras of the Vedas were said to have been heard by the rishis in deep meditation, as if tuning into a frequency beyond ordinary perception. What if the fall was the loss of this language? And what if the path back is not through learning, but remembering? The hero's journey as genetic awakening. Joseph Campbell's monomyth, The Hero's Journey, is not just a storytelling template. It is the map of every soul's return to its divine source. The call to adventure, the trials, the confrontation with the shadow, the ultimate boon, these are not fictional. They are the stages of DNA activation. The hero is not some distant figure in a myth. The hero is you. The dragon you must slay is the illusion of your own limitation. The treasure you seek is the memory of who you truly are. And the return home is not to a physical place, but to a state of being, one where your cells hum with the frequency of the cosmos, where you no longer perceive yourself as separate from the divine, but as an expression of it. These stories were never meant to be passive entertainment. They were meant to activate something within you. The question is, are you listening? Practical integration and real-world implications, living as activated beings. Knowledge without application is merely trivia. To unlock your divine DNA is not an intellectual exercise, it is a radical shift in how you exist, perceive, and interact with the world. The truths we've explored are not meant to be archived like ancient scrolls in a forgotten library. They are meant to be lived, breathed, and embodied. Here, we bridge the mystical with the tangible, translating cosmic principles into daily practice. The body is temple, biohacking the divine blueprint. Your physical form is not a prison, it is the sacred instrument through which higher consciousness expresses itself. Every cell, every strand of DNA responds to the energy you feed it. Modern biohacking, the optimization of the body's potential, is a secular echo of what the ancients called sacred physiology. Epigenetic nutrition. Food is not just calories, it is information. The field of nutrigenomics reveals that certain compounds, like sulforaphane in broccoli or resveratrol in grapes, can activate longevity genes and silence disease-promoting ones. The ancients knew this intuitively, which is why sacred foods, like the soma of the Vedas or the ambrosia of the Greeks, were revered as carriers of divine energy. Frequency medicine, sound, light, and electromagnetic fields can influence gene expression. Tibetan singing bowls, solfeggio frequencies, and even pulsed electromagnetic field (PMF) therapy are modern tools to recalibrate the body's resonance. The key is intention, using these technologies not as passive fixes, but as conscious collaborations with your biology. Movement is alchemy. Yoga, qigong, and other sacred movement arts were designed to stimulate the flow of prana or qi, the life force that rewires DNA. Even simple practices like walking barefoot on earth grounding can reduce inflammation and enhance cellular repair by syncing your body with the planet's natural electrical field. The mind is architect, reprogramming the subconscious. Your thoughts are not fleeting shadows. They are sculptors of reality, etching their patterns into your genetic code. Studies in psychoneuroimmunology prove that mental states, like chronic stress versus deep meditation, can switch genes on or off. The question is, what are you unconsciously programming into your cells every day? Neurolinguistic alchemy, the Garjajev group's research suggests DNA responds to language. This is why affirmations, mantras, and even silent commands, spoken with conviction, can trigger genetic changes. Try this. Speak to your body as if it were a wise, ancient ally. Activate my telomerase. Repair my mitochondria. Align with my highest blueprint. Shadow work is gene editing. Trauma lodges in the body as epigenetic markers passed down through generations. Techniques like somatic experiencing, holotropic breathwork, and even psychedelic-assisted therapy, where legal, can delete these old scripts. As Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The 90-day genetic reset. Russian experiments showed it takes approximately 3 months for new habits to rewrite cellular memory. Commit to a daily practice, meditation, gratitude, cold exposure for this period, and observe the shifts in your health, intuition, and energy. The energy economy, breaking free from the harvest. If your DNA is a receiver of cosmic energy, then who benefits when you're disconnected from your source? Many esoteric traditions warn of an invisible feeding, a harvesting of human life force through fear, distraction, and low-frequency emotions. Media fasting. Just as junk food damages the body, junk information, fear-based news, toxic social media pollutes your biofield. Periodic digital detoxes, especially during lunar eclipses or solar storms when cosmic downloads are strongest, can reset your resonance. Financial alchemy. Money is condensed energy. The global financial system operates like an artificial matrix designed to keep humanity in a state of lack. Yet, every mystic tradition teaches that true abundance flows from alignment with source. Practices like tithing, giving 10% to what inspires you, or charging objects with intention, e.g., programming a dollar bill with "this multiplies for the highest good," can rewrite your relationship with wealth. Social DNA. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, not just psychologically, but energetically. Studies on mirror neurons prove we literally catch emotions and behaviors from others. Curate your inner circle like your life depends on it, because it does. Synchronicity as genetic feedback. When your DNA begins to awaken, the universe responds with coded messages, repeating numbers, chance encounters, dreams that feel more real than waking life. These are not coincidences. They are confirmation that you're tuning into a larger network. The 1111 portal. Many report seeing this number sequence during spiritual awakenings. In binary code, 1111 is a gateway, a sign your system is upgrading. Keep a journal of these moments. They often precede breakthroughs. Dream incubation. Before sleep, ask your higher self to reveal the next step in your activation. The dream state is where your DNA communicates most freely, unfiltered by the rational mind. The Mandela effect as collective DNA shift. When large groups remember events differently, it may signal reality itself is mutable, a sign that human consciousness is evolving en masse. The daily ritual of remembering. Morning invocation. Upon waking, place your hand over your heart and say, "I am a sovereign being of light. My DNA is awakening." I remember. Midday alignment. At solar noon, when the sun is highest, stand in sunlight for 5 minutes, visualizing golden light repairing your telomeres. Evening release. Before bed, whisper, "All that does not serve my highest blueprint is now dissolved. I dream the new into being." This is not mysticism, it is applied quantum biology. You are not waiting for permission to evolve. You are the permission. Conclusion and transformational call. The awakening is now. We stand at the precipice of remembrance. The ancient secret was never truly lost, only buried beneath layers of distraction, fear, and manufactured forgetfulness. But the veil is thinning. The codes are activating. The serpents of wisdom are uncoiling within millions, whispering the same truth in different tongues. You are more than they told you. You always have been. This is not the end of a journey, but the first conscious step. Every insight explored here, from the epigenetic power of thought to the alchemy of daily ritual, is a key, but keys only work when turned. The lock is your willingness to live as if the divine blueprint is already awake within you. Because it is. The final invitation. Choose your frequency. The world will continue to vibrate at the pitch of fear, lack, and separation, but you are no longer obligated to resonate with it. When you feel the pull of old paradigms, hear the words of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I am the unformed and the formed. I am the yesterday, today, and the 10,000 tomorrows. You are the architect. Build your reality accordingly. Become a living anomaly. History's greatest leaps forward were always preceded by those who dared to live as if the impossible were obvious. When your cells begin to respond, when synchronicities multiply, when health regenerates, when intuition blazes like a sun, do not shrink back into the comfort of disbelief. Double down. The universe rewards bold coherence. Transmit the code. Awakening is contagious. As you stabilize in your your new frequency, you'll emit a silent signal that disrupts the collective hypnosis. Someone near you is ready to remember. They'll see it in your eyes, hear it in your laughter, feel it in the space around you. No preaching is required. Simply live awakened and the resonance will do the rest. The last lie to shatter. You've been taught that enlightenment is a distant summit reserved for saints and sages. But the final secret is this: you are not becoming divine. You are remembering you always were. The pain, the seeking, the longing, it was never about inadequacy. It was the homing beacon of your DNA calling you back to source. The simulation is glitching. The old systems are crumbling. And in this moment, right now, as you read these words, your cells are vibrating with the same force that spun galaxies into being. The choice is binary. Step into the story where you are the miracle, or keep waiting for permission that was never required. The encryption is broken. The keys are in your hands. Now rise.